That made me happy. All right, I call the January 20th, 2026 regular board meeting of the Glencoe Park District to order. Lisa, please call the roll and state the time.
Great. It's 7 PM. So I'm going to call out the ones that are here right now, and then we have to call those other ones into the meeting. So,
Great.
um, Commissioner Cummins, Commissioner Guzman,
Here.
and Commissioner Hazen.
Here.
Okay, now you can vote those other ones in.
Do we need to call in the two individuals on the phone?
You have to do this one first.
Oh, okay.
Because they're not
All right,
in until
I
you do
see.
that.
Approval
Yep.
to attend via phone conference. Recommended motion. I entertain a motion to approve Michael Covey and Nicole Reifman to attend the meeting via phone conference. Yes. Okay, wonderful. Any discussions, any questions?
All
Roll
in
call.
favor?
Wonderful. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Reifman? Oh, sorry. Commissioner Cummins?
Yeah.
Commissioner Hazen?
Yes.
And Commissioner Guzman.
Yes.
Okay, you guys are in at 7:01. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay. Do I just keep going down?
Yep,
the
just go
list?
to now
Okay.
consent agenda.
So, does any commissioner want any item pulled from the consent agenda items? Okay. If not, then I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented. Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Covey? Commissioner Reifman?
Yeah.
Commissioner Hazen?
Yes.
Commissioner Guzman?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummins?
Yes. Okay. Wonderful.
Okay.
Moving on to matters of the public, it is our practice not to address questions at this time. However, we will take comments under advisement. Is there anyone who would like to make a verbal comment? If so, please limit the comments to 3 minutes per person.
That's a staff member, so we have no one in the audience today to make comments.
Okay, wonderful. Moving on, John will present a summary of the financial report and answer questions. The financial report is available in the board packet.
All right, great. Thank you, Commissioner Guzman. Good evening, board. We'll just kind of go over the monthly financial analysis here. So PDF page 34 of 65. So just starting here with the rec department, we see that top line revenue is up about 16% from the prior year. That's due to many of the programs that we discussed in previous months, some of those rec programs and camps that are kind of knocking it out of the park, Kids Club, Game On, Action Quest, to name a few. Our percentage of revenue to expenditures are right in line with the prior year, sitting at 51%. Again, there's no deferred revenue adjustment. These are cash basis numbers. Any deferrals will just take place as part of our year-end close. As far as Children's Circle goes, we're really right on pace with the prior year, 276,000 compared to 275,000. Fitness department continues to be strong at about 16,000 excess revenue over expenditures. Beach and boating are right in line also with where they were in the prior year, 33,000 versus 30. As far as Weinberg goes, that's the one I'll spend a little more time on here. So if you remember, as we started the season, maybe a couple months ago, we were talking about expenditures looking a little higher, revenue was lagging a bit, and we thought that was just kind of timing related, especially on the expenditure side. So we did see things level off to about where we were expecting to see these numbers. So revenue's up about 2% from the prior year, and expenses are up about 6%, and there's still maybe some timing issues that will work themselves out over the course of the final 2 months of the season. So that being said, we are, weather has a very heavy impact on the overall revenue for the ice operation, and obviously we have some pretty cold weather coming up, so that could impact things too. But certainly the rec team monitors that and adjusts as needed as we encounter those situations. G&A department is right in line with the prior year, relatively flat. Parks Department, we've talked about, it's about $100,000 greater in expenditures, excess revenue over expenditures from the prior year. And just a reminder that the Shelton Path one-time repaving project was in there to the tune of about $100,000. And now for the really good news on the financial report tonight, as you take a look at the rec admin and corporate admin departments, we are finally starting to see second installment property tax revenue dollars coming in. So that's very encouraging. And my expectation is as we look at these numbers next month, we might be fully caught up. I'm hoping that we'll get the bulk of it here now. This month, we have had some pretty big distributions come in. I'm sure we'll get a few more in the last 11 days of the month, and then we'll have a much better representation on where we'll be, at the end of January. But again, this just once again highlights the importance of our fund balance policy and the fact that we were really able to weather the storm of not getting our second installment for about 5 to 6 months due to that prudent fund balance policy that we have in place. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you all might have.
Thank you very much. No, not a specific question, but just for the benefit of the whole group. As treasurer, I did meet with John and Lisa and Bobby to discuss what the budget would look like for next year, to start thinking about what this will look like, what are potential changes, how we're going to be thinking about the impact of, the development that we're doing down by the beach, as well as that we're closing a portion of it. So I think we are still on track to review all of this in early February.
Yep, budget process is coming along very nicely. We'll be presenting the budget to the entire board on February 3rd at the committee meeting. And then we'll have a meeting with yourself as treasurer prior to that to kind of get into the detail and the presentation that we'll have on the 3rd.
And Gary, I know you're going to be gone for the February 3rd, so if you'd like to have a separate meeting with John and I about the budget whenever you get back or before, we'll be happy to do that, okay?
And then just one other note, is there's still a little bit of a timing shift in some of the capital plan related to this fiscal year that'll lead into the next fiscal year.
Correct. Yep. And we'll certainly cover that in the presentation, but with specifically the maintenance center, just as our fiscal year cutoff is February 28th, obviously GAAP requires, it gets down to when was the work being performed, and that's obviously hard to nail precisely. So there is going to wind up being some carryover into fiscal 27.
Other than that, I don't have any other comments unless
Any questions?
anyone.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Good comments.
All right, wonderful. Moving on next is the presentation, correct? And discussion of Children's Circle from the Early Childhood Director, Molly Tigera. Molly and Bobby will present and answer any questions.
Good evening, commissioners. I want to introduce Molly Tigera. She's our early childhood director. She just passed her first year with the district, has done a phenomenal job. So we're very excited to have her in her second year. So she's going to do a presentation just on the operation of Children's Circle, which is our full day daycare. We're on page 2 for those who are online, and Molly will be guiding you through the presentation.
All right, so I just wanted to start by telling you guys a little bit about myself. So I do have my bachelor's in early childhood education, and as Bobby said, I just officially hit my 1-year mark last week for here at Children's Circle. I've been in the field of education for over 10 years. I actually started my career as a kindergarten teacher, and then first grade, and then I was a K1, so I looped with kids. So I had them in kindergarten and then again in first grade. And then I loved kindergarten and first grade, but I missed the really little kids. And so then I decided to shift a little bit, going even younger with those children under kindergarten age, which is where I landed at early childhood centers. And I do have a mindfulness and social emotional learning certification. I've just taken some additional courses with that as we're finding it more prevalent to help young children learn and kind of navigate through their journey. Here in the picture, those are my 2 children. Jason, he is 2. He is in the program. He's one of our penguins. And then Zoe over here, who is 4, she is in the dolphin classroom. So one of them is actually got into ocean and the other one got into Arctic. And I'll be speaking a little bit about both of those tracks as well. So up here, we just have the Children's Circle mission statement. We are a full day early learning center that we take care of children that are as young as 6 weeks old all the way up to kindergarten age. And we're really designed to help in mind with busy families. So we have a lot of care options that are pretty extended days in our ocean track. And all of our lessons are through learning through play and through exploration through the classroom environment. So we have two different tracks that we call them. We have the ocean track, which is our one that's open 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Both of them are Monday through Friday. And the ocean track has 6 of our classrooms. So we have jellyfish, which are our youngest learners. Those are our infants. And then we have frogs, which is toddler. So toddler would be 15 month up to 24 months or up till the transition time. Then we have turtles and starfish, which are considered our 2-year-old rooms. The only difference between them is our turtle kiddos are just a little bit younger than starfish. And then dolphins is our 3-year-old room, more traditionally called like a preschool room. And then belugas is our 4s, which would be more traditionally considered a pre-K classroom. Then we have our Arctic track, which is open 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. This is our new track. This is the one that was the Early Learning Center, ELC, that was converted. We have 2 classrooms in that track. We have penguins, which is our toddlers and 2s, and then we have polar bears, which are our 3s and 4s. So a couple things to note or differences about them. One, yes, the time of operation of the program, but then 2 also is the age group. So the ocean is a little more traditional that children are grouped or categorized by their age group, whereas in the Arctic track, those are multi-age classrooms. So our penguins classroom has some toddlers and some 2s, and our polar bear classroom is split. It's, half of them are 3-year-olds and half of them are 4-year-olds. Decided, the decision was made to do the multi-age group because there's a lot of research that shows the benefits of that. So we like to say that children can be learners and leaders, and it's not always necessarily based off of their age. You might have a 3-year-old who's really good at their fine motors that can help teach a 4-year-old that. Whereas you might have a 4-year-old that's a little more mature, developed in their social emotional skills that now the 3-year-old can look up to them as their model. The other reason that we did the 8:30 to 5:30 for Arctic is that while many of our families need that extended care, there are several families that don't need that extended care that may, work in close proximity to the park district or maybe work from home, and the 8:30 to 5:30 actually aligns better with their family life. And we do have an AM program for the Arctic track now. It's called Igloo Buddies. So if we do have a family that's in the Arctic track that needs to drop off prior to 8:30 to catch the train, we do have that availability for them. There's an AM program that runs 7:30 to 8:30 that they can use. Yeah.
Do you see demand for one track over the other?
Currently, I do. I see more demand for the ocean track.
Oh, okay.
But that was probably prior to our Igloo Buddies starting. So it'll be interesting to see. We just started Igloo Buddies in January because there were some parents that had trouble catching that train that leaves. But yeah, right now there's a higher demand in ocean. All right, and then I'm moving to the next slide, which is slide 5. So here is kind of the layout of our early childhood leadership team, which has been restructured within the last year. So Karen Lloyd, she's our head coordinator. She's kind of like the assistant director to Children's Circle. And then we have 3 classroom coordinators. So CJ, she is our infant toddler classroom coordinator. And so she oversees the jellyfish, the frogs, and the turtles, which are our youngest age groups. Roberta oversees our 2s classroom, so starfish and penguins, and then Sally oversees our 3s and 4s, which are our oldest learners. Those are the dolphins, the belugas, and the polar bears. So the idea behind having the different classroom coordinators is that there's more support at the classroom level. So, for those days that maybe the children are a little more rowdy and we need a second extra set of hands, or, if a child gets sick and we need someone to report to help with that, any of those things, our coordinators are the first people to report to those. And then they also they know the children really well. So, if they're a coordinator of the room, not only do they know the children, but they also know those families really well, as that's the main contact that the families are speaking to about any concerns they may have. And then in addition to that leadership team, we have Danielle, who's our admin support specialist. So she works closely with coordinating pickups and drop-offs for any of the enrichments that our children's circle children are enrolled in. So like right now, I know hip hop is very popular in the Dolphin and Beluga room. And so, she would go pick up those kiddos that are doing hip hop, bring them over to this side of Takeif, then she'll be there to pick them up to bring them back. And we have many enrichments throughout the week that she does that for and helps with. And then we created 2 new roles, which were the team leads. So these 2 teachers, Olivia and Nicole, they are lead teachers. And what we did is 75% of their time is spent in the classroom, and then 25% of the time is spent doing admin tasks. The thought process behind this was to make a succession plan and to have more people trained in admin tasks. And so Olivia will start her morning up front helping with leadership stuff, and then Nicole is the one that helps close our building. One of the really important things with DCFS is you must have someone who is director qualified in the building at all times, and they have to be out of a classroom if there's over 50 children in the building, which Children's Circle pretty much always has over 50 children in the building, except for the early hours or the late hours. So it was another way to grow our leadership team and make more leadership opportunities for our staff as well.
And what happens in a situation where the individuals can't be sick? Like what is that process, that plan look?
Yeah, great question. So for our coordinators, if one of them is sick, Karen or I step in. So, if CJ, Roberta, or Sally are out for the day, Karen and I would be the ones that are checking in with that classroom just to ensure everything's running smoothly. We're very team orientated. So just because CJ doesn't oversee Penguins, if Penguins messages us that like, oh, they need an extra helper hand, any of us will go, who's ever kind of available. So you'll see all of our faces in and out of all the rooms. And now in the case that someone who's supposed to open the building or close the building calls off, that's part of my role, is to make sure that another person who's director designee steps in. And that's why it's so important to have such a big leadership team, because we want to make sure I always plan more proactively than reactively. So like right now, the way I schedule is we have 2 people opening the building who are director qualified, and we have 2 people closing the building that are director qualified. So if someone wakes up and isn't, one of those people isn't able to report, we can still open. Whereas if you only had one director designee and they woke up with the flu or something, now we're scrambling to kind of get that other person. So we proactively staff just in case that happens. Moving to the next slide. So here are some more pictures of Children's Circle and part of our, programs. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about staffing because the staffing of our classrooms is really important. Not only the quality of the staffing, because that is very important. And in the next slide, I'll talk about some training we do with our staffing, but also the amount of staff that we need to run such a successful program. So if you look at the middle picture kind of with the leaf rug, you'll see right there, that is a picture of our toddler room, our frogs room. And our froggies are very busy and they like to roam and do lots of exploring of the room. And so you'll see on the carpet, there's one staff member that's supervising and playing with the children there. Then in the middle, you'll see that there's someone cleaning up from lunch. And then way behind her, you'll see another person that's already starting diapers. So our staff are constantly working. They're constantly busy doing tasks that are really important. And then you have the 4 staff right now who's taking the picture in this case, but they're also actively helping those 2 little boys that are sitting there and reading. And so just pointing out that we have a lot of staff, but we have the staff that we need to run a successful program. They all have their certain tasks or jobs that they're doing throughout different portions of the day to make sure the program runs smoothly. To the right of that is another picture showing how one staff is supervising lunch, one is changing diapers, one is washing hands. Our rooms are very busy, and the extra support is always very appreciated by the other staff. And then also that's what sets us apart in our childcare program, is having high quality staff and enough staff. And then you'll see in some of the other pictures over on the top left, you have 2 teachers that are playing freeze dance that's in our belugas room. And then the other teacher who's not pictured, but she's starting to plate and set up lunch to get that ready for the next step. And then you see up here to the right, walking down the hallways, we do a lot of training with staff, someone in the front, someone in the back, someone in the middle, with all of those things. So staffing is really important in our program. We do an extensive amount of onboarding for any of our new hires. I'm not going to read through the entire list, but you can kind of see what's up there. There are certain things that DCFS requires us to do, and we go well beyond that. And then not only our training of our new staff, but also our ongoing training that we do. The state requires us to have 15 hours of professional development each year, and our staff typically well exceed that because we have built in our professional development days, and then we take quarterly safety trainings through the Glencoe Park District as well. We really like to have our staff continue their education. So we do encourage them to go to things like conferences or to take additional courses in early childhood. And we're willing to help them with that ongoing professional development, however that may look for them. So our play-based group care setting encourages exploration, learning, and joyful growth for every child. So I'm going to go to talk a little bit more about our curriculum, our lessons that we do inside the classrooms. So I'm moving on to slide 9. So we are a play-based curriculum, and so sometimes we'll be touring new families that ask why play-based. Research shows that play-based is the best way for children to learn. They need to be able to explore and touch things and smell things and talk to their peers to kind of learn about the world around them. So, it helps with their cognitive growth when you're thinking about academics. Even our youngest learners, out here is a picture of them in the nature play area and, touching the turf surfaces, touching those groove stepping stones. They're learning different concepts. Even at this young age right now, they're learning concepts of like what's hard, what's soft, incorporating the science and math even to those youngest jellyfish or frogs learners. The social emotional growth is so important. Play-based allows for children to talk peer to peer, that they get to carry on conversations with each other and learn from that. And for their physical development, getting kids up and moving, marching, walking around, skipping, that's all really important for their gross motor skills. It also allows for creativity and imagination when you're giving children materials and they're allowed to kind of just take off with them. You could give a kid the same materials, like maybe popsicle sticks or blocks, and someone might build a tower and another person build a bridge. That's allowing them to be creative in their own way. And then we also want to build lifelong learning habits so that children are able to, well into elementary and middle and beyond, that they're able to have those lifelong learning habits where they enjoy learning, that they look back and they find that love or that joy for learning. So we have lots of different types of play that are incorporated into our program. So we have a mix of everything. There's some free play time, there's some centers time, there's some one-on-one time. And so when we think about our different types of play, all of them are important, and they're all important at different stages, depending on the child's development. So, cooperative play is probably one of the most common ones that's listed up there. So you can see that, you know, in that middle picture, the two children are working together. They're building, they were trying to build like a really long stick to see how far they could build it before it fell apart. So right there, they're learning teamwork. They're learning trial and error. They're learning about like the hypothesis of, okay, if we do this, oh, that doesn't work. Now we have to try this. You know, we have parallel play, which is very common for more shy children that maybe haven't found their voice yet. So parallel play is when you have one child maybe playing with Legos over here and another child, you know, maybe they're playing with Magnetiles, and they're both playing, but they're not communicating or talking to each other. But that's parallel play. You also see onlooker play. This is another one that we see frequently for maybe children that are new to group care settings. So onlooker play is when they'll stand and watch. They're just observing the group. They're watching their fellow peers interact, and they're learning. So they learn how their peers are playing with each other, and then when they are comfortable enough, they start to integrate into that play. We also have the solitary play, which is where a child wants to play by themselves. Sometimes it may just be the mood they're in. They've had enough of their peers. They want to take a bin of toys and they want to dump it and play by themselves. So we have that throughout our program as well. And then we also have like the dramatic play or associative play that happens in most of our dramatic play areas in the classroom. So down here you see the beluga bites. So that is in their like kitchen area, and it's really fun to watch them because you go in and they take your order. We have like dry erase markers. Well, they'll circle or cross off what they want or don't want. Then they have like pretend money that they'll give you, and so much learning going on right there. You know, they're learning about counting. Like if you say, oh, it's $3 and they're counting 1, 2, 3. They're also learning about the letters and the literacy of it. So if you are saying, oh, you know, I would like to have ice cream, please, you know, they'll look to see on their little chart and circle it or cross it off. So all those academic skills we're building in, but they don't even know it. They just think it's play, but it's so much more than that because they're learning all those little skills. Another thing that we see often is children mimic things that take place at home. So you'll see this one little girl who's putting this baby Nine and putting her to sleep. And those are really fun learning experiences for children too, because they start to realize that homes look different, right? Like maybe, you know, my mom rocks my baby brother or sister to sleep, whereas your mom lays her down in the crib. And it starts to kind of spark some of those conversations where children can start to see beyond their own household, which is really fun to see as well. So these are just some of the types of play that we do throughout the day. And then these are in addition to our learning centers that we have. All of our teachers complete weekly lesson plans, except for our jellyfish. They do bi-monthly, or they do monthly ones for our infants. But the lesson plans are always based off of conversations that are happening inside the classrooms or based on their developmental skills. So, you know, one year, if we have a class that really loves dinosaurs, that teacher is going to take it and run with it and do as many dinosaur learning activities as they can if the children are still showing interest. Or, you know, if a teacher realizes like, you know, where this class isn't quite yet at where they need to be with their writing or with their literacy skills, maybe then they're going to pick like a library theme. So it's really geared off of the particular group of children. So none of our lesson plans are repeated. So what's being taught right now in January in the Penguins room is not what's going to be taught next year in January in the Penguins room because it's a different set of kids. And so we really have to tailor it to those children's needs and also those children's interests that they have. Is there any questions about this? Okay, I'll go ahead to the next slide. So equally important is getting the children up and moving them around. So we know that it's very good for their gross motor and physical development. One of the amazing things here is we have so many rooms for the children to go and play in so many different areas. So we have the outdoor playground, which is beautiful. We have the tot gym, which is for our children 2 and under. And then we have the kids call it the big gym, which is the main gym for those children that are 3 and 4. And then we have newly added in September, we have a STEM lab. So in the enrichment ring, 2 of the enrichment rooms have been converted into 1 room, and that's our STEM lab, which stands for science, technology, engineering, art and math. And that room's really cool. It has different centers that the children can go and explore in. And then we have the nature area, which is newly renovated. It's got a couple upgrades, like the turf. We also have some new things like shovels and buckets for the kids to explore, some sensory tables out there, and then we have the sensory room as well. And so all of these areas, the classroom gets assigned certain time of day that they get to go. Some of the areas are 30 minutes just due to time restraints, but others of them are longer, like the nature area, because we really want the children to get deep into their play. So thinking about the nature area, one of the most common things for the children to do out there is they love to find like little knickknacks and like hide them, and they're their jewels, or or they pretend to be squirrels and they're their nuts. And watching that play take place, we want to have it explore more than just 30 minutes to really get them deep into those more bigger conversations. So some of our areas, they do get to be in for an hour, or 45 minutes to an hour. The other thing that we know about getting kids up and moving and out of their classroom is we see behaviors decrease. When you're in one classroom environment all day, that can be a lot for the kids and a lot for the staff. So being able to walk down the hallway and have this other great classroom learning environment has just been really wonderful for the children. Our sensory room was the new addition as well that opened early fall. It's been great. The teachers love it. The kids love it. The bubble machine, which is pictured right here, is probably the fan favorite. This room is utilized in small groups. So a classroom may take, 5 or 7 of their children to go there and then rotate. Or if we have outside resources coming in like OT or PT or speech, they'll sometimes utilize this room. We also utilize it for children who are escalated and need just a breather break from the classroom. It's a really great space to go to. So we're very fortunate and lucky and grateful to have all of these rooms for the children to explore. And then we also have enrichments that are built into children's circles. So I know earlier I mentioned like hip hop, that some of the families sign up for some of those park district enrichments. We do have enrichments that are built in through our children's circle curriculum. And that's music with Miss Susan, sports with Coach Miriam, and then library with Miss Linda. And so if you ask the kids what Wednesday is, they'll all go, Coach Miriam Day, and they get really excited for her. And then the library and Miss Susan are a big hit as well. So they come, monthly to see all the different rooms. And we have the different schedules. Some days Miss Susan comes and does, 4 of the rooms, and she'll come back and do the other rooms. But just really great learning activities that are going around for the children. And then beyond that, we have so much more that we have going on up in the early childhood wing, from parachute games or group games they're doing. The middle picture has to do with our trick or treat table event. If you haven't been to that, it's a lot of fun. The kids love it. Our 4-year-olds take field trips. So the top right is at the local Writer's Theater that they went to earlier this year. We also have a gross motor movement section in one of our hallways, which is the bottom left. So on really chilly days like today, we have those materials, those obstacle courses that teachers can use in the hallway or even bring up to a community room or dance studio room. That's been really helpful. We have a no nap club, which is an hour dedicated to movement and an hour dedicated to Spanish. So you see some of our little yogis there. We also get to have just like really fun things like the turkey, when they did the turkey event, he came and visited the playground, and it was like the highlight of the week for all of the children. So sometimes we have some fun, goofy things going on like that. And just a lot of smiley, really happy babies and young children that are growing and loving being here. So some kind of facts or things about Children's Circle is on average, we have about 128 children If we were at max capacity, it'd be 134. We have some vacancies throughout the year based on babies, like waiting for babies to be old enough to attend, or if we know we have a family that's expecting, we always want to, it's always a goal of ours to keep siblings together here at Children's Circle. We have about 75% of our children are residents and about 25% are non-residents. And there continues to be a very high demand for childcare in this area. So some challenges that we're having is we do currently have quite a lengthy wait list. I'm still receiving about 2 to 3 inquiry calls or emails a week about enrollment. And we have to adhere to the DCFS age restrictions. The biggest hiccup one is the 15 months. So if you have a baby or a jellyfish, they have to stay in that infant room until 15 months. And at 15 months, they have to move to frogs. So we don't have a whole lot of wiggle room with that. That's a DCFS rule that we have to adhere to. And then also families not always being the most responsive. So because our wait list is so long, it's very possible a family has been on the wait list for a year or 2 years. So then when I email that family that they do finally have a spot, I may not hear from them, or maybe they're no longer interested. So those are some of the challenges we find. The age requirement one is tricky because you're always going to get a bottleneck with that 15 months requirement. So we work really hard to try to get as many children as we can into Children's Circle, with always looking to make sure when we accept or enroll a child into our program, we have a spot for them all the way through pre-K graduation. So that's very important to kind of plan out their whole time here at Children's Circle. And then some enrollment challenges. It's very difficult to get siblings in at the same time. So if I have a family new to the area that has 2 children that are added to the wait list, it's nearly impossible to offer 2 spots at the same time. It's normally one child can get in and then later on another child can get in, which puts families in a very challenging position. Do they want to move one and hope that the other one gets in, or do they stay where they're currently at? We continue to see a concern about illnesses, most specifically with our jellyfish, our infants. I'll have a family that commits to starting their child maybe at 4 months, and then 4 months comes and that's their precious baby, and they're concerned and they panic and they're like, never mind, we're just going to keep the child home. We see that most frequently in January and February when illnesses kind of arise. And then children already being settled into another childcare center. So in the rare occasion that I do have a 3s or 4 spot become available, even though families love our program, they come tour it and they love it, they just don't want to pull their child from what their child already knows. They're very concerned or anxious about the transition. So those are just kind of some challenges that we're working through with any vacant spots that we may have open. So looking forward into this year, so these are kind of the top priorities. So one is still becoming fully staffed. We have moved mountains in the last year. We are in a very good spot staff-wise, but with that being said, we still have 4 part-time spaces open. So one of my goals continues to be, let's get our building fully staffed, because we know that makes coworkers happier, it makes children happier, it makes the families happier. So that's definitely a priority. Addressing teacher burnout. So that's just common in all of education right now. Teachers kind of feeling the weight of some of the daily challenges, especially with behavioral concerns or challenges that come with that. So one of the things that I'm looking at for 2026 is we've contacted Action for Children, which is an organization through the state of Illinois. It is free to have a mental health wellness consultant come out to our center and talk to us leadership, talk to some of the teachers, go into 2 of the classrooms to observe, to kind of mentor and coach. And so we're really looking forward to that opportunity to kind of learn from an expert of how to better help our teachers stay stay energized about the field that they chose. We want to keep the great teachers here, and we want to keep them in the field of early childhood. So working through that, behavioral challenges, this is an everyday thing where we have a child that might be upset, that's screaming, that's kicking. It is developmentally appropriate for children at this age to not quite know how to regulate their emotions. And that's part of our role as teachers, is to help educate them. But right now we are just seeing so many behavioral challenges, which is kind of a national trend after COVID. So working through those and how to help children through those big emotions to help them feel supported and to also help the families feel supported as well. And then we're also looking at reviewing our enrollment process, just to kind of help with some of those challenges that we have with maybe families not responding, or families being concerned about the time of year that an infant's being enrolled, just looking at maybe tweaking or improving those. And then I'll turn it over to Bobby.
Great. Commissioners, I just wanted to give you a highlight of the last 7 years for the financial situation of Children's Circle. Obviously, you can see here there was significant top line growth over the last 7 years of about 76%. Most of that has got to do with increases in the price of the program, but additionally growing the program this year by adding 2 classes. You'll also notice that our expenses increased. So over the last 7 years, it went up 83%. Mostly due to some of the concerns we've seen across some of our other programs, minimum wage causing wage compression. Also, a significant shortage of early childhood workers caused that. So we've had to make multiple staff salary adjustments. So it's just something to bear in mind. You'll also see in 2020, 21, and 22, we received significant grant funding from the state of Illinois, which is a pass-through through a federal grant. That was because of the daycare industry was in such poor shape and struggling so bad that the state had to help out centers stay open because of payments to teachers, decrease in revenue due to COVID. They gave staff pay bonuses that we passed through to staff. The industry has started to recover, and we're starting to see a more solid place with our staffing. But the last 7 years, I'm not going to lie, has been tough with it. What we tried to do is, you'll see down the bottom of this, we try to maintain a margin of somewhere budget between 10 and 12%. Obviously, that was increased when we had the grants come in. That was also increased because we were so short-staffed. We had all of our full-time staff in classrooms, so we didn't have hourly or full-time teachers. So that's why that margin increased. We're getting back to a more normal situation. Hopefully, it could stay like that. Molly talked about it. But we're trying to invest in our staff. We're trying to make sure that we have a really resilient staff and workforce in there so we can maintain that quality of education. But we're hopefully coming through that. We've also made significant investments in our leadership. That was something that we'd planned 5-6 years ago that we needed to do long term, and we're finally at that point. As we've added those additional classes, we've increased fees. We've been in a financial situation where we could also do that because Children's Circle, per our policy, had to cover all of its direct and almost all of its indirect expenses. With that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Question, Bobby, can you go back to
Yep.
that last slide? So what would the financials have looked like before 2019? That's okay.
Can you speak into the microphone so you can
Oh,
hear you a
sorry.
little louder?
Go for it.
Doug?
Subsidizing. So those are all active discussions that were for a long time. I think we're in a really good spot. I think the philosophy has historically been as well that this is a way to give an affordable option to parents in town and in the community.
Yeah.
So a lot of work has gone into this program. A lot of work has gone into the finances. I think it's great, Molly, that you can give everyone up in a great summary like that. So that's all I was saying.
Yeah, no, it's a great summary. I really appreciate the amount of detail that you put into the presentation. I was just going to say, I'm curious to see if the financial picture looked what it looked like pre-COVID.
Great question.
Yeah, like that's in my head. I keep thinking like, the factors are different, right? Like wage increases wasn't there like expenses were lower, inflation, we didn't have any of that.
Mhm.
But I'm curious if there was similar demand for the program.
Great question.
You know what I mean? More so than like, were the margins running at, 23, 34%?
Margins have always been pretty thin. So
Yeah.
at pre-COVID, they were running somewhere between 8 and 12%, depending on the year. We did, when I started the district, Lisa had led an initiative where we only took children in at 2 years old. And to Molly's point, parents have found alternatives care at that
They're-
point.
Right.
So the strategic decision was made to let's take infants in, which is very rare for centers to take
Yeah.
infants. So we took that risk. And that's what caused a huge demand. Obviously, the demographics in the community are changing with 50% of families having both parents working. But there was talk when Lisa started of actually closing Children's Circle
Right.
because
Yep.
our half-day program was so successful.
Mhm.
So it's very interesting how quickly it could change.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to financially, it looks, great on paper. We do those excess revenues or expenses, we reinvest in our programs, in our facilities. But I would say if you were starting up a business, I wouldn't open up a childcare business as a profit center, right? And it is struggle to operate it the way the expectations in this community are.
Yeah. It's a hard business.
Mhm.
Sure.
And that's where we really, because it's not a profit center.
Right.
What's nice about it too, Jackie, and I had Bobby do this analysis for me years ago. When you look at the kids who are in Children's Circle,
Yeah.
I wouldn't call this a loss leader by any stretch because it covers its costs. But the kids who are involved in Children's Circle are customers for life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they stay really involved in the camps and things like that.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. If you were to look at the customer like lifetime value, I would imagine that we're coming out, on top, meaning in the long run. But that'd be a really interesting study to see how they're utilizing the programs post Children's Circle.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did actually do that last year, and it's in the 80 percentile.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mhm. They move on to Kids Club and they move on to other programs.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like really fascinating. I love this
Mhm.
stuff. So, but I mean, it sounds like that even comparing to pre-COVID doesn't make sense because the programming and the philosophy has already shifted
Mhm.
beyond just external factors. Okay.
Any other questions?
That being said, I do have to drop off.
Okay.
Okay.
That's okay.
My phone for this on and
Yeah.
if you need anything else, but thank you everyone for letting me share my telephone.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
There we go.
Any other questions or do you guys have questions? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Excellent job. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here.
Thank
Really
you.
Long day.
All right, wonderful. Moving on in our agenda, we have the executive director's report. The
Excellent.
report is available in the board packet, and Lisa will share a summary of the report and answer any questions.
Excellent. So as we already spoke about, we are starting or actually really far into the budget. We actually start our budget process about June, July, believe it or not. So we'll be prepared to present the preliminary first draft budget at the February committee meeting. The staff is currently working on our 2026 application for the National Gold Medal. That deadline is March 13th, and there's a lot of work that goes into preparation of that application. And how we always look at it is that we really like to see how we can continually improve and based on some of the questions and the trends in the nation. So we are working on that right now also. So stay tuned on that one. I'm gonna throw it over to Kyle, just give a brief update on our capital project, mainly the greenhouse and the maintenance center is making great headway. So.
Yeah. So I think the last time we spoke about the capital projects, a lot has changed. If you've had a chance to get over by Shelton Park or back here at the Takeoff Center, we at this point with the greenhouse have the structural foundations in place, the stonework veneer is in place, and the framework for the Actual greenhouse is probably 40 to 50% done. So it's starting to really look like the final product over at the greenhouse. If you get a chance, I'd recommend swinging by there. I think it's going to be a really wonderful amenity to add to our or to upgrade in our inventory. Maintenance center, structural steel work is underway. That's about a 6-week process, weather permitting. The steel workers will work in pretty much any conditions unless it gets rigidly cold or blizzard-like conditions. So we just kind of have to play the weather in weeks like this. But looking at about 6 weeks of structural steel. After that point, it'll be underground electrical and plumbing with the target of having the ball field open May 1. Happy to take any questions, but over high level report is that things are going very well on those 2 projects.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, intergovernmental cooperation, I always like to speak a little bit about this. We're working with the school district on the West Park project right now to see if they would like to finish off the walking loop. So they're in discussions right now with their board to see if they would like to do that, and so we'll move ahead as we go along. We had a call with the village today on the temperatures projected for this weekend. So we're always in constant communication with them about different things. So there's other items in the board packet that you can read, but we're always in talks with that. The Weinberg Ice Rink, I'm gonna throw it over to Bobby, just give a brief update of that, because
Yep.
that's.
So
facility.
January tends to be a very quiet period at the rink, believe it or not. As the temperatures, as Lisa and John talked to, we're headed into a very cold snap. So we see the attendance drop off for the next couple of weeks. And then as everyone starts to realize the rink's going to close, February tends to be a very busy time again. So we're watching the weather for this weekend. We've already rescheduled Friday night's rentals, GJHB and another rental, because the temperatures are forecasted to be in the negative 20s. Our policy is to reschedule if they are negative 20 with wind chill or if they were unsafe conditions. Although we do get some kickback from some of the older groups that like to skate even in the colder stuff. So we work with people on that and look to reschedule. But we had a very busy period over at the winter break. We'll take the couple of weeks break and then we'll get back into it with people again. So what's great is people may not be skating for the next couple of weeks, but they're playing basketball here on Saturdays. So if you come to the Take-Up Center, you'll see a lot of basketball, which has started in the last 2 weeks.
So you might think, okay, this weekend's gonna be really cold, or you cancel all the programs. So I'm gonna give you a little broad overview of what we do. We try to have programs no matter what. We don't like to cancel. It's operationally very hard to get refunds and things like that. So as long as it's safe, we hold programs. Parents can always choose not to send their child to a program. So for example, on Friday, if District 35 cancels school, we'll still have Children's Circle and Kids Club, because the parents don't really have to drive that far. And we usually have enough staff that can come in for those days. If not, we put full-time staff down in those programs. So we try to offer that for our working families. Yep. If school cancels, then we usually cancel enrichment programs, especially the ones at school. And then we make in the morning, we make a determination for the afternoon programs based on how the weather is. That's usually more snow related.
And busing too. We're
and
very
busing.
obviously
And
reliant
busing.
on the bus from the school.
Yeah, because they bus over. But we keep a close watch on that, and all of our mechanicals and things like that. We have staff on the weekends to watch for frozen pipes and things like that. So we try to have programs, no matter what. We're one of those programs that keep on going. But we do work with the village, and if, say we have a pipe that burst or heat goes out, they're always willing to assist us. And if we have for example, if we have a fire alarm go off, we have a contingency. What we do with the kids, we put them in the doorway, wait to see if there's really a fire, or bring buses if we have to evacuate them and things like that. So we have all those contingencies worked out in our emergency operations plan. So we'll go ahead with that. Youth basketball just started this week, so that's up and running. If you want to see some fun games, it's always funny to walk in and watch little kids play basketball. As Gary probably knows, they all just follow each other around. It's fun.
I've got one. I have a 7-year-old playing.
Yeah, so
If you want to come.
It's a good time. One of my highlights this week I would notice is the fitness center. So there was always a dream of that fitness center, while small, that would be a great community amenity. And so if you ever have a chance to go down there, you're all welcome to work out in there. You see all ages in the fitness center. You'll see an elderly couple come in and work out together. You'll see kids after school. So the fitness center keeps on growing in participation, but it's just such a nice asset for people that want just a simple fitness center to come and work out. And it's getting more and more crowded. So I work out there and I kind of have to, you know, move around my workouts daily because of the amount of people getting there. We've also bring the new what is the name of the program? I forgot.
Transition program.
Transition program.
Mhm.
They come what, two or three times a week?
I think it's 3 times a week.
Three times
yeah.
and work out in the morning. So
Oh.
that's a great program too. And so they use the fitness center and then the lobby a lot. So that's a great program. Aaron, do you want to talk about Inside Glencoe or anything? Good. So you probably should have received in the mail Inside Glencoe. It's a joint publication with the library, the school district, the park district, and the village. So that is out, and we're currently working on the next brochure already. So conferences coming up. So next week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I know Michael and Jackie are going on Friday. So thank you. That's great. And we'll send you more information early next week on that. So.
I did want to bring up, we skipped over marketing. I noticed, if I remember, if I read it correctly, that numbers like doubled with the Instagram.
Yeah.
From
they
last
look
year?
Really good.
That's just incredible, number one. Number two, congratulations. Number three, how did you go about that? Or do you have any idea? Sometimes you don't always know in marketing.
Oh.
You know.
And sometimes the post that you spend the most time with bombs.
Yeah,
And then the thing that you just off the cuff post does very well.
okay.
Like our Bears one this weekend,
Yeah.
80 likes.
I think she's being very modest. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
seen her posting lately, that
Yeah.
they just been so creative and so like out of the box. It's the,
Some of it's just really tracking trends.
Yeah. yeah, which she's been doing a great job with. So
Those.
she's being modest, but she's put a lot of work into that and it's really
yeah, for
paid
sure.
off.
I
So
knew that. Instagram, Facebook, the more you do, the more they like you, you know, it's more traction you get.
Yeah. It's really
Congratulations.
interesting the difference between what goes on Facebook, what
Yeah.
trends on Facebook versus
Yeah.
Instagram.
Totally.
Yeah.
So in
very
general,
different.
Facebook is really not as popular, right? Like,
Yeah,
so
with my age group.
Yeah. I know.
well, it,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know you're saying that. Yeah, definitely.
So it is.
Congratulations
interesting to track
anyway.
it. It's just
That's huge.
being aware of the trends.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
very good. Thanks, Brent. Any other questions? That's a very good point. Thank you. That's it.
All right, wonderful. Moving on, we're on to our action items. So the first one is I entertain a motion to approve resolution number 8983, BMO designation of authorized of officers updating our authorized users at BMO Bank to reflect Commissioner Guzman as our treasurer and Michael Covey as our president as presented. All in favor?
You need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussions? Wonderful. Roll call.
Commissioner Reifin? Commissioner Hazen?
Yes.
Commissioner Guzman?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummins?
Yes.
Wonderful, thank you. Next item is approval of policy ensuring access for all. I entertain a motion to approve the policy ensuring access for all, ensuring all individuals can participate in Glencoe Park District programs, facilities, parks without discrimination as presented. Motion,
So moved.
Second.
wonderful. Any discussions?
With rhythm going.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Reifin?
Yes.
Commissioner Hazen?
Yes.
Commissioner Guzman?
Yes.
Commissioner Cummins?
Yes.
All righty, so just moving on to any other business? Does
There
anyone
is,
have?
I have no other business.
Great. And I believe there's no executive session that we need
Correct.
to go into.
Correct.
So I can make a recommendation to entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
So
Nope.
moved.
So moved.
So moved.
I second it.
Wonderful.
Now all in favor.
All in favor?
Yeah, I.
Yes.
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 Right. Motion adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling in.
Good job, Jackie. Thank you for letting me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.